Hey, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going into the battle at the Red Fork and the battle by the Lakeshore. But before we begin, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, let's jump straight into it. The battle at the Red Fork was a battle at the crossing of the Red Fork in the Western Riverlands in 130 AC during the Dance of the Dragons. A green ally of King Aegon II, Lord Jason Lannister, led the Westermen in attacking the Rivermen, many of whom were black supporters of Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen. The Westermen met the outnumbered Rivermen at a crossing of the Red Fork. The Rivermen threw back 3 attempts of the Greens to cross the river, with Lord Jason Lannister being slain in the third attack by a squire, Pate of Longleaf. Command of the Lannister host was assumed by Sir Adrian Tarbeck. Adrian and 100 knights shed their heavy armor, swam the Red Fork upstream of the fighting, and surprised Lord Tristan Vance's men from the rear. The Rivermen resistance collapsed after Adrian slew Tristan, allowing the remaining Westermen to cross the Red Fork. Lord Peter Piper knighted Pate of Longleaf, who became known as Longleaf the Lion Slayer. The Lannister host continued to march east towards Harrenhal, winning victories under Adrian's command. The Westermen were briefly checked at Acorn Hall by Lord Joseph Smallwood and Lord Peter Piper, but Lord Piper died in battle, and Lord Smallwood retreated back to his castle. 3 days later, the Rivermen regrouped under a hedge knight, Sir Harry Penny, and gave battle to the Westermen again. While the Lannister host once again prevailed, Sir Adrian and Sir Harry killed each other in the fighting. With Adrian's death, command of the Westermen passed to the aged and wounded Lord Humphrey Lefford. The Lannister host continued east into the Riverlands, but they were eventually crushed in the battle by the Lakeshore. With Jason dead and Castle Rock in disarray, Lord Dalton Greyjoy, the Red Kraken, then attacked the Westerlands. Jason's widow, Lady Joanna Lannister, barred the gates of Castle Rock, but was unable to prevent the Ironborn from sacking Lannisport and raiding the coast. The battle at Acorn Hall occurred in 130 AC during the Dance of the Dragons. Lord Jason Lannister was slain during the battle at the Red Fork, with Sir Adrian Tarbeck taking command of the victorious Greens, and Lord Peter Piper leading the surviving Blacks in retreat. 3 days after the battle at Acorn Hall, Adrian and Sir Harry Penny slew each other in renewed fighting after the Rivermen regrouped. Lord Humphrey Lefford took command of the remaining Greens, but rather than besiege the few survivors at Acorn Hall, the Lannister host bypassed it and continued their advance. Thus, Stanton Piper and Joseph Smallwood survived, and later in the war they scrapped up new levies from old men and green boys to fight in the Second Battle of Tumbleton. During the Dance of the Dragons, House Lannister of the Westerlands supported the Greens, while House Stark of the North and most of the disorganized lords of the Riverlands supported the Blacks. Lord Jason Lannister led an army eastward in support of Aegon, but Jason was killed by Pate of Longleaf in the Battle of the Red Fork, and Sir Adrian Tarbeck was later slain by Harry Penny. The Lannister army continued slowly because of the age and infirmity of its wounded new commander, Lord Lefford. When the Westermen reached the western shore of the God's Eye, Lord Lefford discovered he was opposed by Lord Roderick Dustin with 2,000 Winter Wolves, all of them mounted, Lord Forrest Frey with 200 knights and 600 infantrymen, and Rob Rivers with 300 archers from Raventree Hall. The Westermen were quickly faced with another threat from the south, when Sir Pate of Longleaf arrived with survivors from previous battles in the war, possibly from the Pipers and Vances, as well as Lords Bigglestone, Chambers, and Perrin. The cautious Humphrey did not rush to face either enemy force, and thus be caught out of position in the field, but took up a defensive position with his back to the lakeshore. Humphrey then sent ravens to nearby Harrenhal to seek assistance from Prince Aemon Targaryen, but Red Robb shot down the dozen ravens. The Blacks received further reinforcement with the arrival of more river lords the following day, including Sir Garibaldi Grey, Lord John Charlton, and young Lord Benjicott Blackwood. Despite cornering the Lannister army, the Black commanders now faced a difficult decision. The Lannisters had pulled back into a defensive position behind columns of disciplined pikemen, so a direct assault would result in heavy losses. Nonetheless, they could not simply wait to starve out the Lannister army, because Aemon's host would eventually realize that communications had ceased, and rush to the aid of the Lannisters, bringing Aemon's dragon Vhagar. Lord Dustin and the other Black commanders therefore chose to rush the Lannister position while they still could. The army of Westermen were attacked at dawn the next morning. The Winterwolves led the attack, their cavalry charging the Lannister spearmen 5 times, but suffering grievous losses in the attempts. Attacks by the Blacks from 3 sides, the Lannister soldiers were gradually forced back to the God's Eye. Hundreds died fighting amongst the lake's reeds, and hundreds of others drowned while trying to escape. The battle degenerated into carnage, and was ultimately the bloodiest land battle of the entire war. The high number of casualties led it to being called the Fish Feed by its participants. The Blacks lost Lord Frey, Bigglestone, and Charlton, and 2/3 of the northern soldiers were killed or wounded. The Greens lost their commander, Lord Lefford, as well as Lord Swift and Rain, and the knights of Clarent Crakehall and Emery Hill. Young Lord Blackwood wept when he saw all of the dead. The Lannisters' main army was totally destroyed in the battle, the flower of knighthood from all the Westerlands cut down in a single day. With only skeleton forces left to defend their home territory, Dalton Greyjoy opportunistically allied with Rhaenyra so the Ironborn could plunder the coasts of the Westerlands, sacking Lannisport but failing to take Casterly Rock itself. Despite their disproportionate victory, the Black armies in the Riverlands were also badly mauled in the bloodbath. In response to the Greens' crushing defeat, Prince Aemond and Sir Criston Cole abandoned Harrenhal. Aemond waged a guerrilla war atop Vhagar, and Criston headed south to find Lord Ormond Hightower. The victorious Rivermen avoided facing Criston's host directly, but wore him down with the ambushes and scorched earth tactics, which included arranging the bodies of fallen soldiers from the fish feed in gruesome displays to frighten Criston's host. This caused many to desert. The Rivermen and a few surviving Winterwolves eventually cornered Criston's depleted army in the Butcher's Ball. So what did you guys think of the battle at the Red Fork all the way up to the battle by the Lakeshore? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending us super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.